Put everything on your list.
Naka-internet mangit
Now,
ko.
the key is to
Hopefully,
take
it
it
will
out
not,
of your head and put it on paper.
stop. Continues
You know,
na
you can
internet.
dream about what you want, but when you start committing it to paper, now it more formalizes information.
So naman na maglunta ka pa ito yung
That's a whole list in itself. Education, pleasures you want to take. Education, pleasures you want to take. Some
brain
changes you
freeze
like to
naman.
make, some
Ba't
habits you
tinawa
like
na
to
eh?
drop, some new ones you like. You might make a list of the people you want to
So ano, sa mga about
over
7:30.
those 10 years.
Okay.
Benevolence goals. Maybe you've got a long list of projects you'd like to see. Now, this is not what you think you can. This is what you really like to do. How about your investments? Properties.
Ito na yung mga
Make a list
Rockies
of your
na
health
sinasabi
goals.
ko.
Gotta have a good physical support system for the next 10 years. How healthy do you want to be? Some goals for your career, your business, some productivity goals, a hobby you'd like to start, new car, become a racer. What classes would you like to teach? Some of your goals should be personal development. The person you wish to become. Develop skills that make you attractive to the marketplace. Develop the temperament and the attitude that makes you attractive to the. Because here's what's important. It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become that makes you valuable. Okay, now we're going to do some things with this list. Here's the next exercise. I want you to look at each item on this list you've made and give each item a number. The number being a 1, 3, 5, or 10. And this is why. I want you to look at an item and say, I think that would take about 1 year. Another item, you say, I think that would take about 3 years. Another item, I think that would take 5. And another item, looks like that's going to take 10. Give each item now a number. What you think it might take to achieve that goal, a 1, a 3, a 5, or a 10. Just somewhere close, doesn't have to be exact. That's about a 1, that's about a 3 goal, that's about a 4-year goal, that's about a 10. Now, as soon as you've given each item a number, I want you to now go through and count them. How many 1s, how many 3s, how many 5s, how many 10s.
Parang ano?
And then just make a little list of those numbers.
Modus.
How many 1s, 3s, 5s, 10s. When you're finished entering your
Thank you
time
for
frame,
watching.
there should be a fairly balanced distribution of all of your goals. If there are many 1 and 3-year objectives, but only a few in the 10-year category, maybe you need to think more about what you really want your life to add up to. What kind of life you really want to build over the long run. But if there's a preponderance of 10-year goals and relatively few of the shorter-term variety, this may be an indication that you're putting things off, that you're focused too much on where you'll be at the end of the day and not enough on what you can accomplish right now. Keep working on your list, adding and subtracting goals. Now comes the really challenging and interesting part. So far, you've just been adding things to the list, but now it's time to start making some selections. Now you're going to start asking yourself, what's important compared to what might just be sort of fun? Life and the people that I want.
Shout out, Shamsi
The opportunities that
Official.
I want.
Pasensya na, nawawala yung signal ko dito sa
You may
bundok.
find that some of
Kaya
your goals you thought at
napuputol.
first
Pero ang
glance were
ganda ng
important.
view. Tingnan nyo na lang later yung ano ko.
Do some
Yung mga
reflecting,
videos ko na
refining,
iba.
and revising.
Binideo ko
The
na lang
point is,
kasi walang signal.
Right now,
yung
try to have approximately
internet.
4 1 year,
Yan
3
oh, mga
year,
bundok
5
oh.
year, and
Mga
10 year goals
Rockies.
that you truly believe that inspire you, that you've sold yourself. When
Yeah.
these goals and the reasons you want to
Thank you
achieve
for watching. Shout out, Cham CJ.
transfer this information to a journal or some type of notebook that you can carry with you.
Maganda sana kanina kung may signal lang.
It's essential to set aside some time every week to review all of your goals, to rearrange them, must constantly check your progress toward your goal. You don't want to fall too far behind on, or worse, lose sight of, your important goals. Now, just as important as your long-range goals are your short-range goals. Your goals for tomorrow, next week, next month, 6 months from now. These are goals you can accomplish within the next year, the immediate future. We call these goals confidence builders. When you work hard, run the midnight oil, and accomplish these little things, builds your confidence to go for your long-range goals. Write down in your notebook or journal all the little things you would like to have or accomplish in the next year. How you set up this list is up to you. You might want to break it down by week or by month. Set it up in whatever way works well for you.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain
Part of the
High
fun
din,
of having a list is being able to check
Dito,
off
ano,
something as obtained or completed.
ito yung
Every
bank
week, try to check off at
na
least
ano
one thing
na
on your list of
Rockies
short-term goals.
dito sa
When
Calgary.
you are
Hi
able to check
sis,
off something major,
Jumpstar Media.
on your list of long-range
Nag-road
goals,
trip kami ni Jeff
celebrate.
kasi na-board kami
Make
sa bahay.
meaning joyful. Congratulate yourself.
So,
It
pumunta
is
kami
very
ng
important
British
to celebrate
Columbia.
progress.
3 hours drive papunta, tapos 3 hours pabalik. So, mga 6 hours
And the
kami.
other is the pain of losing.
More than 6 hours
Here's what that
nag-drive.
also means. Make losing painful
Life
help
pa.
in this area. Hey, don't join an easy crowd. Go where the expectations are high, where the pressure to perform is high. It's how we grow. At times, and keep track of your progress toward these objectives. Above all, persevere. Goal setting is a very important first step, but goal achievement is a continuous, lifelong process. That's what makes it so challenging. That's also why it's so extremely rewarding to finally attain your long-term goals.
Pahinga ka muna, Jumpstar Media.
Self-employed
Need to
executives.
relax from work.
Protect your
Kain
small
ka muna
business
dyan.
insurance. This insurance policy started at $19 per month. Trusted by 250,000 small businesses. Save up to 35%.
Welcome to a new episode. Today we are going to start a deep and life-changing exploration of the most important things to speeding up our success.
Tapos mga lake. Ano dito? Mga pine trees.
Things that will help us not only
Pine trees. So, yeah.
first
Bundok
we know how important it is to have a
paligid.
good reputation. How we talk and show ourselves can open many
Magandang
doors
view
for
pag
us
ano, pag
and set the
winter.
tone for how we work with
Puro
others.
puti yung
After
bundok.
that, we'll talk about self-directed and constant learning, which keeps us at the top of our field. We will talk about how to use
Yeah, you
self-regulation
need
in our
some
daily
rest.
lives
This
so that
Jumpstar.
we can not only do well, but also do
From ato
even
pa sa
better.
work.
After that, we'll talk more about how
Off
important
niya lang
key
sa
skills
work.
are to help you figure out which skills will help your job the most and how to improve them. We will talk about some useful strategies. We'll talk about how important it is to have a strong network of friends. Sometimes what you know isn't enough to get ahead. Who you know is also important. Having the right contacts and
You
keeping
have
them up
to,
to date
ano,
is just as
kailangan mo
important as having the right
magdahan-dahan sa
skills.
trabaho.
Next, we will talk about the
Take it
importance
easy.
of good financial management.
Huwag
Having a solid
magpagod
economic
talaga.
foundation not only gives us security, but allows us to take advantage of opportunities that might otherwise be out of our reach. Delving into our
business
daily
proposal.
habits, we will see how good work routines can transform our productivity and efficiency. These habits are essential for managing our time and resources more effectively.
Oh,
We will
ganda ng
explain how
bundok doon,
maintaining
oh.
a positive mental attitude can make a difference in business success. The way
I
we
know you have to take
can
it
have a big
easy.
effect on how other people see
Slow
us,
down.
and by extension, the chances that come our way.
Huwag mong
We will
pilitin
talk
na
about how to
matapos
build
lahat
image
in a
that shows
day.
how professional,
Kailangan
skilled,
dahan-dahan
and
lang.
beyond.
One at
good
a
is an
time.
important part.
One
Looking
at a
good is an
time.
important part of having a good image, but it's not the only thing
Bakit
that
ka
matters.
nagmamadali?
It has to do with how you show off your personal
Leave
brand every
some
time you
work
talk to
for
someone.
the next 20
Your
years.
clothes, body language, how
Leave
you
some
talk.
work tomorrow,
All
next
send a
day,
message about who
next
you are
week.
and what you stand for. First, let's talk
Leave
about how
some
they
work
look.
to last for the next 20
Dressing
years.
professionally
Oh,
and properly for your
nice.
job
Will not
can make
Look,
you feel
oh.
better about your self-worth and boost your confidence. You don't need
Nice.
expensive clothes to look
Beautiful.
clean and professional.
Ang ganda
All
ng
you need are
tubig.
clothes that are well taken care of and fit well.
It's getting
Also,
cold.
small things like a good haircut, well-groomed personal appearance, and understated items can make your whole look better. Beyond appearance, your body language has a significant
Oh, yeah.
impact on how others perceive you. An upright posture, firm eye contact, and a warm smile are essential for conveying
Ayan, dito kami
confidence
sa harap ng
and
bundok.
approachability. These nonverbal cues can make people feel more comfortable around you.
Kaninang umaga hindi ito
facilitating better
makikita
relationships
kasi very
and more effective
foggy.
communications.
Tapos
Regarding
may nanood sa
communication,
live
clarity
ko.
and
Sabi niya,
courtesy
saan yung
should never be
mountain?
underestimated. Whether you are drafting
Sabi niya,
an
where's the
email or
Rockies?
participating in a meeting, choose your words
Hindi
carefully.
niya nakita kasi
Being clear,
foggy.
concise, and respectful in all your communications reinforces an image of professionalism and consideration. Also remember the importance of active listening. Showing that you value the ideas and opinions of others not only improves communication, but also strengthens your professional relationships. Additionally, in the digital age, your online presence is an extension of your professional image. Ensure that your social media and professional profiles are updated and reflect your skills,
Pinahula siya ng
experience, and
signal.
professionalism. A coherent and professional online presence can be a powerful channel for job opportunities. Consistency is also
Signal
vital.
light.
Being consistent in how you present yourself and act in different situations and platforms builds a solid and reliable personal brand. If people know what to expect from you, they are more likely to trust you and consider you for important opportunities. Lastly, you shouldn't give up being real for an image. If you want to give off a good impression, make sure that it's a true picture of who you are and what you stand for. Being honest and real builds trust and respect, and it's a must for business relationships that last. Creating a positive image is something you can do on purpose to not only change how other people see you, but it will also help you move up in your job and personal life. After talking about how a positive image can change how we think and deal with problems, it is important to talk about another foundational pillar, ongoing education. This has been shown before, but it's worth seeing again. Today, information and knowledge are very important. So learning new things all the time is not just a choice, it's a must. But how can we make sure that we keep learning in our daily lives so that we not only stay in our jobs, but also do well in them? To begin, it's important to know that ongoing education is more than just taking classes or going to seminars. It's about having a mindset and a never-ending commitment to growth in your personal and work life. That means seeing every task, job, and experience as a chance to learn something new. The key here is curiosity. Maintaining a curious mind is what pushes you to ask questions, explore, and not settle for what you already know. Curiosity is the spark that ignites the pursuit of new knowledge and skills. In today's world, this pursuit is more accessible than ever thanks to technology. For example, there are online learning platforms that offer courses in virtually any imaginable field, many of which are available for free or at a very low cost. However, continuous education is not just about accumulating knowledge. It is about applying it effectively in the real world. For example, if you learn a new technical skill, seek ways to apply it in your current or future projects. If you acquire new knowledge in your field, share these learnings with your peers or professional network. This not only reinforces what you have learned, but
Dito na kami
also
sa taas ng
establishes
bundok.
you as a thought leader in your
Or,
area. Doors to
mountain.
new opportunities and collaborations. Also, it's important to make learning goals that are clear. Check out what you need to get to the next level in your job. When you have clear goals, you can plan your learning better and make sure that every hour you spend on school really does help you. Learning soft skills like good conversation, leadership, and time management is also an important part of continuing education. These skills are highly valued in all fields and will help you make the most of your job. For example, learning how to easily and convincingly explain your ideas can help you get into leadership positions. On the other hand, being good at managing your time can make you more productive and let you take on bigger projects. Education is an ongoing process of change and growth that not only gets you ready for the problems you face now, but also gives you the tools to predict and shape the future. As we continue on our path to speed up success, we move on to another important pillar, skill growth. Today, the competition is fierce and the demands of the job market are constantly evolving. To improve and expand our skills and methodologies. In this context, it is essential to establish a personalized skill development plan. Identify the key skills you need to advance in your career and enter a new field. Take inventory of your current skills and compare them with those required for your long-term goals. This analysis will help you identify the areas where you need to improve or learn something entirely new. Once you are clear on which skills need development, seek research. Online classes, workshops, books, podcasts, and other things could be part of this. You might also want to get certifications that show companies and coworkers that you have the skills they need. But getting more skills isn't just about getting more certificates. It's about putting what you've learned in incomes. Everyone has found this practice to be an effective way to secure their future. The key is consistency and making this habit an integral part of your life. It doesn't matter how much you earn. What matters is how much you manage to keep and grow. A crucial point I want to highlight is the power of compound interest. Suppose you save just $10 a month and invest it in an average mutual fund that grows between 8% and 10% annually. Over your working life, you could accumulate more than $1 million. This is the power of compound interest working in your favor. The sooner you start saving, investing, the more time your money has to grow, and the more significant the accumulated amount will be at the end. Now, I know that developing the habit of saving and investing isn't easy. It requires determination, willpower, and above all, a commitment to yourself. You need to set it as a clear goal, write it down, make a plan, and work on it consistently. This habit, once established, will become the cornerstone of your financial success. This is where frugality comes into play. Being frugal doesn't mean being stingy. It means being smart and conscious about your spending. Every penny counts, especially at the beginning of your working life. Question every expense and delay or defer significant purchasing decisions for at least a week, if not a month. The longer you postpone a purchasing decision, the better your decision will be and the better you will get. A major obstacle for many people is the tendency to spend everything. This is known as Parkinson's Law, which states that expenses tend to rise to meet income. Your task is to break this law. Start by putting away 1% of your income if you can't save 10% right away. Get used to living on 99% of what you make. If you feel good about your savings, raise them to 2%, then 3%, and so on. You might be able to save at least 10% of your income in a year and live well and rest. If you do these things, not only will your finances, but you'll also create power and wealth. Your money will be better, and you'll be well on your way to becoming a millionaire during your working years. Open a special account for saving money today and put some money in it, even if it's only a small amount. This is the first thing that needs to be a financial future. First, I want to talk about the basic idea behind paying yourself first. This idea has a huge effect on your life if you use it regularly. We'll talk about how you can use this idea and why it's so important for your long-term financial health. If you 10% of your check every time you get paid before anything else, 10% is just for you and your financial future. You put it in a private account just for building wealth, and you don't touch it except to invest it and watch it grow. Paying yourself first can make the difference between having money problems and having a life full of comfort and plenty. So why is it important to pay yourself first? The main reason is that thoughts and actions clear. The most important. When you pay yourself first, you're telling yourself that your financial future is important, that you value your security and long-term well-being. This act forces you to live on the remainder of your income, adjusting your spending to what's left after setting aside your 10%. This principle also helps you avoid the trap of Parkinson's Law. As mentioned in the introduction, Parkinson's Law states that expenses tend to increase as you adjust your expenses with a special account for financial accumulation. This account should be separate from your checking and regular savings accounts. The idea is for this account to be sacred, a place where your money grows without being touched for everyday expenses. Once you have this account, set up an automatic transfer of 10% of your paycheck each time you get paid. This system is very important because it keeps you from spending that money before you set it away. By setting the process to happen automatically, you make sure that you always pay yourself first, no matter what. At first, you might feel like you don't have enough money, This happens when you're getting used to a new habit. You'll get used to living on 90% of your income, though. You might even come up with clever ways to save money and live more simply. When you pay yourself first, you need to be able to be frugal. Being thrifty doesn't mean being cheap.
So,
It's
man.
just aware and careful with how you spend your money. Should every cost be looked at to see if it's really money? Think like a frugal person. As you get into the habit of paying yourself first, look for ways to spend your money. You shouldn't let the money in your savings account just sit there without doing anything.
Oh.
To make it
There's one reason that some speakers make $1,000 per speaking gig, others make 5,000, others make 10, others make 50.
Brian, welcome back. What a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. You know, I was reading the Wall Street Journal today, and there's a lot of controversy in politics and economics, and it all comes down, in my estimation, to telling the truth. Telling the truth. What is the truth? And whatever the truth is, tell the truth. Don't try to change it or minimize it and so on. And it's the same thing in America. When I began studying, we had 5,000 self-made millionaires. 5,000 back in 1980. Today we have millions of self-made millionaires. Somebody becomes a self-made millionaire 80 or 90% in sales every 8 minutes. I mean, the statistics are phenomenal. So if you don't become a self-made millionaire in your entrepreneurial business, you should be taken out in the back and beaten with a stick, because because the fact is, it has never been easier. There have never been more opportunities for you to do well in life if you tell yourself the truth. And the truth is, there's nothing replaces hard work from a long period of time. Start earlier. Self-made millionaires, and now I've done a whole several years of research on self-made billionaires. Self-made billionaires have specific habits. I've got them all here written down and laid out. And number one is they get up early. They get up before 6 a.m. Number two is they get started. They exercise, get their body going, and then they study. The average self-made millionaire, billionaire, gillionaire reads 2 hours a day in order to become better. One of the richest men in the world, Bill Gates, reads a week. And then what he does is he takes and he underlines all the key points and goes back and he puts all the key points on his website. So if you want to know what Bill Gates is reading, then what you do is you go to billgates.com, and there's his latest book and what he thought were the most important points in that book. Now, if you're not doing that, then you're really not serious about becoming wealthy, because this is free information by the richest self-made multi-billionaire in the world, and he just gives it to you. And people say, "Oh, I think I'll just go have drinks after work."
You know what I find fascinating is, if we go back to the 1980s, it seemed like the majority of the people were not aware of what needed to be done to become a millionaire. Now, that information is available, yet there's also often many people saying slightly different things, and some people are paralyzed from doing anything because they don't know what they should prioritize. How do we overcome this inertia from overwhelm?
Well, let me tell you my own story. When I do a seminar and I design a seminar, in the margin I write MOS story, which is the example of what happened to me. So I never talk about anything that I have not proven to work, and that I don't have hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have proven it to work. I was in Washington at a big conference 3 weeks ago, and this man came up to me out of the crowd, and he recognized me. I didn't know who he was, and he said, "You changed my life. You made me rich."
Wow.
And I have heard that, surprise, surprise, 1,000 times all over the world, every day, emails and letters and communications. "You changed my life. You made me rich," in every conceivable language. Why? And I always ask them why. And you know what they do? They smile like a pumpkin on Halloween, and they say, "It was the goals. It was the goals. Before I listened to you or read your stuff, I didn't know how important goals were." So many years ago, I started off, and I had been broke all my life. I was 35, 36 years old, and I decided to give seminars. And 100 people who were business people, entrepreneurs, and annual conference, and he said all of these people have one common goal, which is to become millionaires in the course of their working lifetime. Can you do a seminar on how to become a millionaire? And I still remember that, and I said, absolutely. Because when you're starting off as a speaker, you agree to speak on any subject that they will pay you for. And, you know, there's a funny little story that I think of, and it's the story about the priest with two parrots and sit on the stand and they pray all the time. Brother Matthew and Brother Paul. And they sit there with a rosary and they pray all the time. One day another priest was visiting them, and there they are praying away, doing their rosaries. And he said, I'm really concerned about my two parrots because they're so pious that all they do is pray. And he said, well, as a matter of fact, my son came back from sailing, working on a ship, and he brought me a parrot that had been on the ship, and the parrot had learned a lot of foul language from the other sailors. And so he talks all the time, never stops talking. Why don't we bring my son's parrot, put him on the stand between the two pious parrots? So the parrot from the ship said, I'm a whore. And the priest was paralyzed. But one of the parrots, Brother Matthew, leaned over to Brother Paul and said, Brother Paul, our prayers have been answered.
The brain power you want is not in a bottle, capsule, or magic lamp. It's in your brain right now. It's about the size of a cashew. It's over 200 million years old. It's a
So I always think of that. I tell this to my audiences all over the world. I say, whenever you go out there, remember, you're a whore. You're a whore. What does that mean? It means that you sell. Your job is to go out there and generate revenues and money. Your job is not to drink coffee and talk to your friends and go to movies in the afternoon. And I know you do it because nobody's watching. You're just to work. And there's a relationship between how long and how hard you work relative to others that determines how much you earn relative to others. And this is a truth. Just like gravity is a truth, things fall down, they don't fall up. Your job is to be always doing things to generate money, like that joke. Anyway, so he called me and asked me if I would speak about how to become a self-made millionaire, and I said, of course. And I hung up the phone, and I realized I had been dreaming, that's what we in America do, is from the time we were teens, we start to fantasize about becoming millionaires, and we look at rich people who have beautiful cars and homes, and they're in the newspapers and stories and movies and everything else, and we fantasize about becoming wealthy. So here I was, I'd started fantasizing at the age of 15 or so, and now I'm 36 years old and I'm still in debt. When I got into speaking, I used to joke, I learned how to sell again. I sold my house, I sold my car, I sold my furniture, I sold everything that I owned and moved into a rented house and just basically worked 16 hours a day for the next 2 or 3 years. However, what I found was that there's lots of great research on self-made millionaires because it's an interesting subject. People wrote books and articles and they did university studies and so on, but they found that they had certain characteristics in common. So what I did is I began to write them down. And I came up with a talk called The 21 Success Secrets of Self-Made Millionaires. And 2 months later, I stood up in front of the audience. I had 1 hour to speak, and I went through the talk very quickly. 21 success secrets. And they're very simple ideas. One is dream big dreams. That's the first one. Dream big dreams. Start dreaming about yourself as being a millionaire. Think about it. Fantasize about it. When you see other people who are rich, say, I could do that. That person. 90% of people who have money today were broke when they started. The 80-20 rule is one of the other principles, so that the top 20% of people in our society earn 80% of the money paid out in our society. Every person in the top 20% started where? Where did they start? They started in the bottom 20%. And then they started doing things differently, like climbing stairs. And a week, a month, a year, a few years later, they were in the top 20%, then the top 10%, then the top 5%. But virtually everybody starts at the bottom. So, no problem. If you're broke, good. That's where all the top people started. They started broke, but they made a decision. I'm not going to stay here. So anyway, I gave this talk, and it was so well received, standing ovation. I was asked to give it again and again and again. I started giving it all over the world. I stretched it from 60 minutes to 90 minutes to 3 hours to a full day. I recorded an audio video. I wrote a book on the subject, which is one of the best-selling books in the world, on 21 Success Secrets of Self-Made Millionaires. So what I want to do with us in the time that we have together, Jason, is I'm just going to give you a couple of ideas. And if you follow these ideas, these were the turning points in my life. And as I studied the life stories of people who've gone from rags to riches, I find that virtually everyone had these 3 stories. And if you look at Bill Gates, why are you rich? 1, 2, 3. If you look at Elon Musk, if you look at Jeff Bezos, if you look at the richest people in the world, they say, well, these were the things that changed my life when I was young. So here they are. Number 1, and I call this the golden triangle of success. The golden triangle has 3 points. The top point is mental, and it is the acceptance of complete responsibility for yourself and your life. Refusal to make excuses, refusal to blame other people, refusal to be depressed or negative. Just simply say the magic words, I am responsible. I'm responsible. If I'm not happy with any part of my life, I'm responsible. Did somebody do you dirty? Did somebody treat you badly? Did you have a lousy childhood? Did your boss cheat you? Did you have a bad marriage? And so on and so forth. So, life sucks and then you die. Okay? We used to say life's a bitch and then you die. So therefore what you do is you just take a deep breath and you say, oh shoot, well, I am responsible. And the interesting thing is, blaming is the number 1 reason for unhappiness and failure in life.
Yeah.
And as soon as you say, I am responsible, you cancel all blame. So whenever you start to become angry about anything, you say, whoa, wait a minute, I'm responsible. And it just stops like one of those crash dummies going against a wall. Whack. All your blame stops. And when your blaming stops, which is the source of all negative emotions, where the negative emotions go, since nature abhors a vacuum, what comes into your mind? And the answer is positive emotions. And what are the positive emotions? Ambition, excitement, happiness, joy, energy, all the good things. But if you're blaming somebody for something that they did or didn't do to you, then, and people, you know, one of the things in America, which is a great tragedy, is there's millions, maybe tens of millions of people who blame successful people for their failure. They say, oh, rich people are the reason I'm poor. Well, I got news for you. Rich people have never seen you or heard about you in their whole life, and they have nothing to do with your being poor. The reason you're poor is because you're yourself. So here's the most important thing, is accept responsibility. Just say, I am responsible. I am responsible. And you instantly cancel all negative emotions. And suddenly you're in complete control of your life and your thought. So I've read stories and biographies and autobiographies of rich people, and you read their stories, and there was a certain point in their life where they reached the line. And the line is between childhood and adulthood. And when you cross the line, you become an adult. Because when you stop blaming and criticizing other people, you become an adult. And from then on, you're in charge of your life. But as long as you're blaming your mother and your father and your boss and your spouse and everything else, you remain a child. You remain a whimpering, crying little child. And you get together and you drink and you whine and complain about your life. No. From now on, you say, I'm responsible. So that's the first part of the triangle. Without that, nothing is possible.
I love that we're starting with such a powerful intervention moment. And it's interesting how there seems to be a culture being nurtured in society today that's talking about how you're not responsible for this, you're not responsible for that, and the blame seems to be amplified. But at the same time, when I look at what changes happened in my life when I took that 100% responsibility, is you would think you're taking on extra burden, but it was actually a liberation. It was almost like giving myself freedom. And because the culture is encouraging the opposite, it feels like the pathways open up so easily when you make that one decision of being responsible. So to go back to the point you made earlier, how it's easier than ever to be a millionaire, I feel like, wow, this is probably the one that everyone should probably listen to again. It changes everything.
Right, now, here's the triangle again. The second point of of the triangle is if you're now responsible, what are you responsible for? And the answer is you're responsible for being clear about your goals and then achieving those goals. That's what you're responsible for. You're not responsible for being happy. You're responsible for setting goals, things that you really want to be and have and do. Now, I discovered this, I guess, 30 or 40 years ago.
I like that house.
And what it simply said is that if you want to achieve goals, write them down. So what I did was this, and I put this here for you. This is a spiral notebook. This costs less than $2, probably $1.50. If you are serious about becoming wealthy, this is your millionaire maker. And it's so powerful, it is scary. So what it said was basically write down your goals. And what I did is I made a habit from that day onward. I put today's date and I wrote down my 10 goals. Now, what I learned is that your subconscious mind can only accept a command when it is couched in the present tense. So you don't say, I will earn, I will weigh, I will do, I will achieve. You always say, I am a self-made millionaire by, and give yourself a reasonable date. Remember this, you can always change the date. No problem. You can always change the date and move it forward. So you write down your goals. And what I do is put in at the end of the day's date and then write down your 10 most important goals in life right now. Now tomorrow, you do it again without reference to the previous list. You don't copy. This is not copying from one page to another. You close it, open it up, and write your 10 goals again. Surprise, surprise. Your goals are going to change their order. You're going to be, because you're not remembering, and the description of your goals and the timing of your goals will change, and then you do it again. Now, in 2000, there was a .com, .bomb bust, and thousands of small entrepreneurs were driven to the verge of bankruptcy. So I started a group coaching program where I charged $5,000 a year to come and spend one day with me every 3 months. And I would work with 20 or 30 people at a time so that it was economically sensible for me. And they would come down and I would put them through a series of exercises. The first thing I would do is I'd say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. And I want to introduce you to your new best friend.